telling the stories of Kansas City nonprofits and the people behind them. KC Cares is the intersection of the nonprofit and profit communities, making Kansas City a better place to live, work, and play. This KC Cares segment is brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation, www.kauffman.org. I'm Ruth Baum-Biggis. While Kansas City is often tagged as a sports town, the arts are thriving in our metro. Leading the charge for all arts is the nonprofit organization ArtsKC that provides support the regional arts and culture community through programs, advocacy, and investment. Annually, ArtsKC programs directly benefit more than 307,000 people and indirectly almost 2 million. The last few years have been tough in the arts, due in part to the COVID pandemic, but ArtsKC has taken the situation in stride and is doing some new things. Here to talk about those efforts are Dana Knapp, she's president and CEO, and Ann Palmer, director of the Audience Development Practice. Welcome to KC Cares, ladies. It's so great to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ruth. We appreciate being here.
Well, Dana, it's been a hot minute. So in case some of our audience does not remember exactly what ArtsKC is and all about, I gave just a snippet of what you all are doing. I want to give you that opportunity to really share what you all do in our community.
Absolutely. Thank you. So ArtsKC is your Metropolitan Arts Council. We serve a 5-county region, and most communities or metropolitan areas the size of Kansas City, they have an organization like us, an agency that really serves to support the full ecosystem, arts and culture ecosystem across our region. ArtsKC really focuses our service and our support along 3 pillars: promote, support, and advocate. Our promote pillar really focuses on removing the barriers of access and participation. So really focusing our efforts on inclusion and really enabling individuals to benefit from the transformative power of the arts. The support pillar, our support pillar, is really demonstrating the power of investment in the arts. And we grant out about $500,000 a year to small to mid-sized arts organizations, diverse-led arts organizations, individual artists, and human service organizations that have arts-related programming. And last but not least is our advocacy pillar. And we really work hard to tell the story and to educate and build awareness with our civic leaders, our electeds, our business leaders, help them really understand the importance of integrating those in our industry and the activities and programs of our industry into all things throughout the community, and that it really is good business at the end of the day to support the arts and culture community and ensure that our industry is thriving alongside theirs.
Well, you don't have to convince me because I love the arts, but I imagine that from time to time, there are folks who are not as familiar, not as engaged, maybe even don't know what's available and out there for them. How does ArtsKC kind of expand or give breath in that direction?
Absolutely. So we really pride ourselves on not only promoting what most people identify as arts and culture, and that is buying that ticket to the symphony, going to the lyric opera, going to your local gallery, or even museum. But we really have begun over the last 3 to 5 years to broaden people's perspective about what the arts and what arts are and creative activity and the impact that it can have on the connectedness and well-being throughout the community and also your own personal well-being. And that was really never more evident than through the pandemic. People really clung to artistic activities, to movies, to music, to really buoy and cope through that isolation. A new initiative that we have really we're deeply excited about is a partnership with Johns Hopkins International Art and Mind Lab. we've had the privilege starting a partnership in January to launch a new series, a new initiative in our organization, a thought leadership initiative. And it really focuses on the power of the arts in well-being and healthcare. We will talk about it down the road, the power of the arts and creative activity in learning. And then last but not least, the power of arts and aesthetics in the built environment. Right now, we're really leaning into connecting healthcare practitioners with the arts community and reinforcing the interdependency of positive health and well-being outcomes and creative and artistic activity. And so most recently, alongside Johns Hopkins and Susan Mag-Salmon, the author of Your Brain on Art, we are working with researchers and practitioners from KU Med, from University Hospital, as well as UMKC, to really rally and build a community around that school of thought. So really, we're hoping to expand people's understanding and perception of the power of having the arts, not only in your own life, but in the lives of the broader community.
That is very exciting. How did all of that come about? And Anne, we're going to bring you in, I promise. We're not just going to leave you there, but I wanted to make sure I totally understood this.
So the Thought Leadership series was really born out of a desire to dig deeper into the power and the importance of not only our industry overall, but those that inhabit it, our arts leaders, our cultural producers, our individual artists, and then those that consume it, those participants, and really bringing that to light. So during COVID, we actually stopped hosting what was well known, our luncheon, which was really an hour and a half of entertainment for 1,000 of our closest friends. We decided that we wanted to look at a new model. And so the Thought Leadership series really became the model we wanted to embrace that seemed to align more closely with our current values as we emerge from the pandemic. And I had been tracking along on the work of the International Art and Mind Lab and the publishing of what they call the Neuro Arts Blueprint. And so we just really developed a rapport and connections to the individuals that compose that team. And we've just really hitched our horse to their efforts and vice versa. And we are one of 3 pilot communities throughout the United States, ourselves, New York, and Palm Beach, that will be inaugural pilot communities for the Neuro Arts Blueprint, led by Johns Hopkins International Art and Mind Lab.
And when is that blueprint going to be ready so we can hear all the good stuff?
So the blueprint already exists. How it rolls out across the United States, we are a part of that. And so you began seeing evidence of this good work in May as we hosted our first event, and you will continue to hear more and more from us and from our colleagues in the arts in the months and years to come.
That's just really exciting and so interesting, a dive to take the arts beyond the traditional kind of box description. I'm either the audience or the participant. Right. Say it's really out there and affects all of us in many ways that impact our health. Wow. Anne, I want to turn to you and talk about the work that you do with ArtsKC and audiences. Tell us what you're doing and what you're up to.
Well, thank you so much. And, I have to say that really, I work very closely with the Neuro Arts Blueprint initiative because it's really not as far of a stretch as you might imagine with audience development. And really the philosophy that Dana and I talk about on a daily basis is the fact that really that the arts is at the center of well-being, and really the idea behind the book of Your Brain on Art is that art and and mindfulness and the practice of creativity is something that we should be embracing on a daily basis. And is there anything better than embracing that on a daily basis by encouraging people to attend opportunities here in Kansas City and building our arts audiences? So I really think that there's a strong connection there that we are building, and certainly our artists that we speak to, it's really validating for them. I think that has been an overwhelming piece of feedback that we have received. Anyone that knows, just as you said, Ruth, like, we get it, right? Anyone that has experienced the arts, singers and artists, and I'm a singer, so I say that, of course, first and foremost, my bias showing through, but we all know, those of us that have experienced it, we all say, yes, of course, we understand that intrinsic power of the arts. So it's those connections, and working with researchers and other scientists to help us bring that to light. So being able to work in this sphere and being able to kind of bring this over and help arts organizations communicate that more clearly within their organizations and tap into that power, I think is something that we are going to continue to work on. It is certainly a piece of my work. I would say that in terms of my role as director of audience development practice, I really work as we talk about in programs and building programs that serve our arts organizations, and really talking about how it serves our arts organizations both behind the curtain and in front of the curtain. So there are programs that are really serving them. One, for example, that's happening right now is called a marketing capacity program. And we're really working with small to mid-sized arts organizations to remove barriers so that they can receive some risk capital, working to diversify arts audiences, not only through a collaboration and receiving risk capital to work with our partner, Novella Brand House, but then also receiving a direct, really a small grant to implement a marketing project that works specifically to using what is another project that we've been working on, which is called the Marketing Intelligence Dashboard, which is a collaboration that uses data from SMU Data Arts and TRG Arts that uses, it actually gauges the propensity or the likelihood that arts organizations and census tract data, so that arts organizations can go in there and as they are making their marketing plans or their marketing campaigns, is a resource that we have received funding for, that they can actually go in and instead of just kind of guessing and as a lot of times small to mid-sized arts organizations have to do, kind of guess a little bit and base things on the little data that they are able to retrieve. They actually have a tool now that is an asset map, essentially, that combines they can input their data from their arts organization and match that with census tract data, and actually puts together propensity rates and the likelihood that individuals throughout the Kansas City region would attend their production. And so they can go in and make more educated marketing choices to various areas. They can also, for individuals that we've been working with who have been trying to expand their reach and reach more diverse audiences, realizing that, as we've talked about a little bit with the COVID comeback, that we are still trying to figure out. There are just some things that, they were certainly a challenge before COVID. They continue to be a challenge with new hurdles. and there's still question marks that people are working through. And I think the more data that we have to work with, and the more resources that we can provide our arts organizations to make informed decisions, then take some of that guesswork out of that, the more we feel we can provide an opportunity to make an impact. And again, that goes into that kind of behind the curtain support that we provide in those resources and programs for our arts organizations. We also have then opportunities to provide support that's more in front of the curtain, as we call it. And one of the larger programs that you're going to be seeing much more of in the coming months, probably around November, actually, is something that I think will impact Kansas City. It's going to be removing barriers for a lot of individuals that traditionally have not had the opportunity, perhaps, to attend arts performances. Perhaps removing barriers such as cost, perhaps as proximity and transportation, and hopefully work with some of our arts organizations to create a space that feels a little bit more like individuals from underrepresented backgrounds have a place where they belong in these spaces that are traditionally have been a bit more out of reach for them for various reasons. And so that is a program that we're really in the thick of right now, and going to be launching in, as I mentioned, November. There'll be in a pilot phase for really this next season, but we're very, very close to being ready to talk about that more publicly. So you'll be seeing more about that soon. And like I said, that really, maybe gives you a better idea of what I'm working on. But I'll turn it back to you and see what questions you have.
Well, we can't wait to hear about this big initiative, the big surprise. So there you go. We're talking with Ann Palmer and Dana Knapp with ArtsKC. Is any arts organization permitted to use these resources? Do you have to join ArtsKC? Tell us how all that works for the folks who may not know.
Absolutely. So we really pride ourselves on being a core service organization. So any of the programs that we offer and provide, we provide those for free. We never want to establish or create barriers to success for our primary constituents, which are individual artists and arts organizations. And so our programs and services are a direct response to the needs that they define. So if we're being successful, it is in response to what they need to be successful. So they are free to those we serve. We are a 501c3, so we fundraise both in the municipal realm. So we're partially publicly funded. We are funded through the corporate sector as well, and then grants and foundations and individual funders. And so yes, so we really are about direct and fundamental service.
It's no secret that arts organizations, through different periods of time, have struggled for funding and for support. And I think the COVID period, there was some relief, I remember, an opportunity, yes. But yet it was, do we need, PPE versus somebody being able to do, online kind of performance. Those kinds of decisions had to be made. Well, we're out of that period, but now we're in this new COVID era. What are you seeing? What are you hearing from those that you serve, and how can you help them?
Absolutely. So I'll kick this off, and then I definitely want Anne to comment. So the pandemic really served to both prompt organizations, producers, and performers to stretch. So you mentioned online and virtual performances. So, one thing I would say about the arts community and creatives, we are deeply adaptable and generally nimble. So I saw brilliant responses to the pandemic, not only to try to innovate, but also to work and partner with others to try to continue to reach their audiences. So we saw, really deep and remarkable innovation. But at the end of the day, really through the pandemic, the reality is everyone wanted to continue to provide that miraculous and transformative support and service, but the revenues really were reduced to virtually nothing. Our industry was one of the single greatest and hardest hit industries across the U.S. What we're seeing now is, I think, a result of that adaptation and that innovation. So we have organizations that I believe are more tuned into their audiences and their ability to reach unique and diverse audiences and in unique and diverse ways more than ever. But it really has, the pandemic changed the audience's behaviors. And so what we're seeing is a definite diminished return and really a challenge, particularly for performing arts, a return to the full kind of robust audience. I've heard recently that they've regained anywhere from 50 to 60% of their audience, but that 40 to 50% is just simply not coming back, and that they perceive that as having to really accomplish and touch and regain new and diverse audiences. And that's really where our programs and the brilliance of what Anne and her team are doing is really ramping up to help those organizations identify new and diverse individuals that will participate.
Anne, what's your secret sauce?
Oh, wouldn't you love to know, Ruth?
Yes, I would.
I think Dana said it brilliantly. I feel like, I alluded to this earlier, in that, there were already hurdles in place, declining audiences, pre-pandemic, that it was not, that was already happening. And so I think that the main piece of feedback that I have heard, excuse me, allergy season, the main piece of feedback that I have heard from performing arts organizations, which is really who I work with primarily, is that audiences are not willing to come out for anything that is too unfamiliar. They are not willing to step outside and do something that might be too experimental. They want something that is a slam dunk. If they're going to, excuse me, if they're going to make the effort to leave their home, they want to make sure it's something that they're really going to enjoy. And I think that also goes back to, we've gotten so comfortable being at home and streaming and, getting comfortable in our jammies and, and I've said it, we're going to go through to the effort of putting our pants on and leaving the house. We want to make sure that it's something that's really worth our while.
Right.
But I think that is really what we're hearing from Arts Orgs as well.
So with that in mind, and you're the nonprofit kind of convener umbrella place to be. You're hearing all the bad stuff, I imagine, that, that arts organizations are facing. What can you say and maybe tell our audience that your organization can help do so that we don't lose these arts, performing or visual?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think first and foremost, Ruth, it is to advocate and build awareness around the critical importance of not only participating in what many see as a traditional arts, but integrating the arts into your daily life. It is no accident that ArtsKC is still deeply advocating and building audiences in the way that we are most familiar. But we are now really helping our civic community, our business community, our elected officials understand that the integration of those that inhabit our industry can really play a critical and positive role in solving community-wide challenges. Earlier today, I was sitting at the Climate Action Committee, and it is important to have the arts representation in a conversation about climate change. We are super communicators. We are innovators. We are really, really accomplished at building conversation and connectedness around issues, not just creative and artistic issues, but broader issues that really hit us at an emotional level. And so we are supporting that traditional, that more understood component of our industry, but we are really helping other sectors in the broader community understand that if we were to go away, life would end as we know it. And we can be a much stronger partner in addressing those broader issues that we face within the arts community and outside the arts community day in, day out.
Well, I want to make sure, I know we just have a moment or two left, that everybody knows where to go to find you. The best place would be your website?
ArtsKC.org. And there you will find the programs and services we provide. You'll be connected to our events website, ArtsKC Go. There'll be a donate button at the bottom that you can certainly contribute. But really, fundamentally, Ruth, what we say is put those pants on, step outside that door, and participate in any way that you feel comfortable. Bring the arts and culture and heritage into your life.
Anne and Dana, thank you so much. You're doing so many amazing things. This neuro thing is just incredible. I encourage people to go check that out, if nothing else. And your
Arts Blueprint.
And your calendar is fantastic. Thank you both for taking time to talk with us.
Thank you, Ruth. We appreciate you.
Thank you for joining us for KC Cares, Kansas City's nonprofit voice. We're produced by Charitable Communications. It's also a nonprofit. This KC Cares segment was brought to you by the Ewing Marion Kauffman Foundation, www.kauffman.org. Now, if you'd like to be a guest on KC Cares, please visit our website, kccaresonline.org, and spread the love. You'll find us on Facebook and Twitter at KC Cares Radio and on Instagram at KC Cares Online. And don't forget, on Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock, you can catch us on ESPN 1510 AM, 94.5 FM. Thank you for joining us for KC Cares.